No.
Okay, we're live. Good. All right. So, what episode we are on right now, Dylan?
We are on 37.
All right. So yeah, Yank and Kiwi episode number 37, episode 37 with me, your host Brett, the handsome and charismatic one, and filling in for our guy Dinte, who is filling in for Sam, is Dylan, my fellow West Coaster.
Hi.
Although he is a state below me.
West Coast is West Coast.
West Coast is best coast.
Also that.
And also we both reside out of, well, Dylan, we both stay away from the bad parts of our states.
There are no bad parts, only things that people make up.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Dylan, yes.
When did you say actually tell the story why I have that joke?
And joining us is a guy I'm pretty tight with, Marmaduke.
Thanks for having me on, gang.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So the genesis behind this episode was I wanted to get on Marmaduke's channel to talk about Changeling more. I'll be sure to send you a link to this, by the way, Marmaduke. Problem was our schedules just could not really line up. So the solution I came up with was if I couldn't go on Marmaduke's channel, I'd bring Marmaduke onto. Well, I couldn't even bring him onto my channel because my channel's under a fucking community guidelines strike.
Youch. You're getting Sargoned.
Here's what happened. Dude, here's what happened. It was an old podcast episode about song parodies. That's what got flagged.
For like vulgar language and shit.
Oh wow.
Well, that we don't know because the email that YouTube sends didn't tell me why.
They didn't tell you why? Okay.
They don't. You know, say what you will about Twitter. At least when you get shadow banned or when you get banned or suspended, they tell you why.
Yeah.
They say this tweet you made was in violation of our terms of service.
For this reason and this reason. So get the fuck out.
Exactly. Exactly.
And like to put it in perspective, that's a fairly like family-friendly episode.
Yeah.
And since even talking about that, we've discussed like horrors and shit.
Yeah.
As just what we end up talking about.
Careful, you'll give the trolls some more ammunition.
I know. I'm just
saying, YouTube, Twitter at least tells you why you're in trouble. Don't just send an email and say you violated our community guidelines.
Okay, which one?
Yeah, like I say, tell me what I did.
The one they feel like you violated this week.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah,
the thing is, I've seen people like manage, and they'll make videos about it because you're able to still make videos, Brett. You just can't live stream.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. I can't. Yeah. I can make videos. I just can't live stream until until January.
Yeah, until like mid-January. But here's the thing, right? So a lot of the time, I feel like that I don't have really any evidence of this, but I feel like YouTube just has a bot answer your complaint email when they ask, or your complaint tweet or whatever you send.
Yeah.
When you're asking for like, what did I break exactly? If they get back to you, which is not guaranteed because YouTube is so large, they don't give a shit. To be honest. Mm-hmm. But if they get back to you, I swear they use a bot because every video I've ever seen of like, okay, guys, so I had a strike, as you know. This video is me doing a breakdown of why this doesn't make sense given their reasons.
Right.
And it's like, maybe if you stretch it, one or two of the things they say you did were things you did, but they'll have like 8 things that just, no, you didn't do. It's like they choose like their guidelines at random and say you broke these, now get out of our face.
Yeah,
you're probably right about that. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's a logical assumption given how large YouTube is as a company and as a business.
That's where Twitter did the same thing with my old account, where I wasn't even breaking the rules. The rule I allegedly broke is posting the same picture, but artists were asking me to share pictures of my characters with them. So I wasn't bugging people with pictures they didn't want to see. They were asking me to share a picture of my character with them. Twitter thought I was a robot, and now they won't send a message to my phone to reactivate my account. So I don't know.
If that's the case, my account should have gotten banned over at least several dozen times because I've been replying in art threads to promote my comic.
Yeah.
Well, here's I think the difference there is the variety that you that you're probably posting with.
Yeah.
Because he's posting and also the like repetitive, like how quickly you're posting. Because what it sounds like as far as Marmaduke is concerned, and this is a fair assumption, but an assumption, you maybe had 2 pictures that you posted like 5 times.
Right.
Really fucking fast, and it was, and Twitter noticed that specifically. Not that you were posting pictures repeatedly, but that you were posting the same 2, maybe 3 pictures, back to back to back to back to back, really quickly.
But then they don't get. They tell me I can reactivate the account if I prove I'm not a robot, and they just never follow up.
Right. And that's right there is also a big issue. They roboted you to prove you're not a robot, and then they didn't give a fuck.
Yep.
And what the fuck is up with that anyway? But hey, at least you had a backup account.
Yeah.
I just don't Twitter ever, or I almost never Twitter, so I'm guaranteed to stay well below anyone's real radar.
Yeah.
And post whatever the fuck I want because nobody notices me. Speaking
of which, Dylan, I did tag you on Twitter. It's like one of my fans. She wanted. What happened was she posted a pic of her cat saying that he won't move, and I don't want to disturb him. And then and then it'd be me. I posted a pic of my my sister's pug.
Pugs.
And then she said like, "Oh, she's so it's so cute." And then I told her, "Well, my friend Dylan adores his pug, and she wanted pics, but you were AFK at the moment, so I said you'd have to wait till
who is this? Okay, I see him. I see it.
Yeah, Alice Saito.
Yeah, Alice.
Yeah, I've got a fan out in Japan.
Yeah,
Mochi Alice.
Mochi Alice. Okay. Well, Mochi Alice, get a load. Hold on. Get a load as soon as it loads. Hold on. Get a load of this. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, he has a pug that he is very proud of.
Nice.
She is a good girl.
We're talking about Pepper, right?
Yes, she is a very good girl. And here's her in her Santa outfit that I took last week.
Oh my
god. Here is her face.
No, I still just see you.
No. I'm posting it to Twitter.
Gotcha.
In the thread.
I'll put the link in the chat at Marmaduke.
And you know what? I'll give you one more. Just one more. It's not my pug though. It's not my pug. Hold on. So it's kind of far down here because she wasn't around when I went to my dad's. So far down.
Oh my god, that face.
It's a good face. This is a very good face.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't hate pugs, but Dylan, you're gonna have to explain to me why you find this cute.
All right. She looks perpetually happy and sad, and then all of the wrinkles are a thing as well. Plus, pugs act fairly human as far as like their demeanors and things.
Really?
Yeah, like human toddlers, they're not like fucking Einstein or something. But yeah, and then here Momo-chan is my cat. You're welcome.
What's Retro Red's Twitter, by the way?
That's Dylan.
All right.
Yeah, so it's at Retro Red, no spaces.
Yeah, I posted it.
It's Retro Redacted, actually.
Yeah, I posted links in the chat at Marmaduke.
Yeah. Gotcha. I got it.
Yeah. Don't follow me. I don't post.
Okay. Man, you have like a nice puppy Instagram filter, I see.
Pretty much. I might as well. That was okay. That picture has a little bit of a story behind it. That was the first time I ever had vegan food, and my sister took that picture and put a filter on it.
Your sister sounds like she could make a good meme maker.
Yeah, she's not bad at it.
All right, so but yeah, getting back. So I mean, like before it becomes a discussion about dogs, I guess.
Borf.
Dogs. I mean, as fun as that would be.
Borf.
Changeling.
I guess
so. You've told me a little bit. You've told me a little bit about Changeling behind the scenes. Do you guys talk about? Do you guys talk about your comic projects a lot?
I'm the only one with a comic project. Dylan is just more or less handling the podcast, and he's in my Werewolf the Apocalypse group. That's how I initially met. But Dylan has actually been part of the support network for Changeling.
I don't have it's unfortunate because my reasoning for as far as Twitter goes, I am inactive on Twitter so that I can do anything I want on Twitter and no one notices me. That same reasoning is also detrimental to assisting Brett in anything Changeling related outside of saying, "Oh my God, that's an adorable picture," to his face.
Well, I have him as a you're a moderator you're in the Discord, so that counts for something.
Yeah, I am a mod in the Discord and stuff, which you've got really chill Discords, all things considered.
Yeah, but he's also, I guess he also technically counts as one of the fans, but I mean, please just tell me you genuinely like it and not just because we're friends.
No, I think that the idea... I helped you with a little bit of the script at one point.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. In fact, me and... I think it was... Who was it? Me and somebody. But we sat with you while you were, asking us what we thought of the script, and then we helped you with the script because we had ideas just pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. I am a fan of this, not just because I'm friends with you, but because I think it is actually just a fun idea in general. Since we last talked, Marduk, there have been some things that have changed about Changeling, no pun intended.
All right, get me caught up.
Well, what's changed about it
First, Maeve is a boy, and 45.
What's changed about it is that its scope has kind of grown, sort of. What has changed now is that it's not just a self-contained work, it's actually going to be part of a shared universe now.
Nice. What other kinds of characters will be appearing in the shared universe?
We have Mythics by Matt Tren, you know him.
Yes.
Main character of Mythics is a woman named Althea Fletcher. Her day job is that she's sort of I guess you could say a ghostwriter. And but although Matt describes her as a jack of all trades writer, she gets hired to write basically anything: movies, scripts, novels, essays. It's just that's what her day job is. But her real job is that she is a mythic, which is sort of based off a thing called the Cunning Folk, who were they were people who sort of kept old pagan traditions alive, but they'd also converted to Christianity.
Huh.
And her job is basically being a supernatural investigator. Think modern day Witcher with a touch of Hellblazer.
Which overlaps with Changeling because you have this tension between Christianity and these sort of fairy-like creatures from pagan mysticism, right?
Yes and no. It's just more that he and I had two ideas that we found actually meshed really well together.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the other one is going to be Adobe Kroger by Dan Sakharov.
Uh-huh.
right now what he has out is a novel, which is called Adobe Kroger Knight Errant, and which is also available in audiobook that I highly recommend. And I will actually link that in, Dylan, so you can I better link that in for you. But yeah, what Adobe Kroger is the story of another woman, named Adobe Kroger, and she was at the start of the novel. She is a sort of a excommunicated paladin.
Okay.
So she's part of this order, this secret order of paladins and knights, and she's it's a bit more noirish, more Dresden, and in a knight errant, she gets mixed up in a supernatural conspiracy. Really good. What Dan is contributing to our shared universe that we've dubbed the Mythoverse is a prequel graphic novel to Knight Errant, and I think he later intends on expanding that to an ongoing series. The prequel is called Dame Commander, and it's basically Adobe's first mission as a paladin and how everything goes wrong and what leads to her being excommunicated from the order.
Yeah.
And we and like I said, it just kind of happened that all three ideas, they meshed really well together. And so we just sort of came up with the idea of just making a shared universe out of it.
So did you two meet on Twitter, or did you have other like creative projects you were working on in addition to that?
All three of us met through Twitter, I believe. Yeah. And now all three of us are signed to Wicked Publishing.
Right.
Yep. I will, Dylan, I'm going to give you the Twitter for that as well. Actually, we'll give you all the Twitters.
Yep. Wicked Publishing just did Jack Irons, so I think that's my first Wicked Publishing book. Yeah.
Yes, and it's in fact, if I remember correctly, Jack Irons just went to printing.
Yep.
Yeah, and which is really great for Cody. And I think actually, yeah, the Mythoverse is not the only. It's not the only shared universe that Wicked has. Like, because Cody's actually been expanding Jack Irons and to include like a couple other like side projects that are in what he calls the Ironverse. Right now, he has he's working on what's sort of like a companion manga called Cactus Coyote, which is it's set in the same universe as Jack Irons, but it takes a more comedic bent to everything.
Huh.
And he has another one. I forget the name of it, but the main character is supposed to be like this Native American guy who specializes in killing monsters. And I guess you could say it's like a little bit, it's Fallout meets Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Have you ever been in communication with Jack Irons about a Changeling Jack Irons mashup?
I won't say it's off the table.
All right.
But yeah, that's what's actually changed a lot of. That's what's expanded into Changeling. Now it's not just going to be its own thing. It's going to be part of a universe, and we're hoping we can also bring other creators into it.
Do you have like an ETA on Indiegogo yet?
For now, I'm sort of foregoing Indiegogo and just sticking to my Patreon. Otherwise, I'm funding it out of pocket, which is doable for what I'm paying my art team, Victor and Ginger.
Uh-huh.
What I hope happens is that as more content gets put out, that brings more people in.
Yeah.
But I've also been in communication with like some of my other fans, trying to figure out what the best methods of marketing this thing are. So I'm basically exploring every avenue I can.
I mean, if you're doing the Patreon route, it wouldn't hurt to like finish like the first issue or the first trade paperback, and then do a campaign for like a physical release of that, because then that gives you sort of the credibility of the art's finished, it's backed up. I'm not gonna pull a B Claymore on you and disappear for 4 years, you know.
I will say though, what I did sort of play with was the idea that because I want to have it completed within the first half of 2019. I want to also be able to premiere it at Jet City Comics Show in Tacoma that same year. And I might actually do an Indiegogo to raise like some quick money to get like a X amount of books printed that I can sell at the con.
Right. So I guess. So the thing with comics, as I understand them, I'm not the most knowledgeable, but in comics and stuff, they have the runs of a comic. You know, like the initial run of X versus like, you know, and then they've got all their sales and stuff, and they're able to make, you know, the next run, whether that's the same story or it's the next story within that universe and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense to me if you finished as far as like writing and inking and stuff before it was published. If it makes sense on at least one side if you did that and then made it physical and stuff, so that you finish the first story and then there would be no delays really outside of what might happen during production of the physical books.
Yeah. Well, as far as the printing goes, Wicked handles that.
Yeah. So if there is any stuff as far as delays, it would be all on Wicked, which, you know, they are professionals. Something bad would have to be happening for them to fuck up.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But yeah, kind of what I sort of talked with another one of my fans was that because I was aiming because you know the target audience Marmaduke it's a young adult audience.
Yeah.
What she told me was that people that age group, they're more likely to sign up if you've got something completed, and I had to sort of like admit, yeah, you're right. So it's kind of, I just sort of had to focus on getting this issue first, and like once that's out and like everyone saw, okay, this guy put his money where his mouth was, I'll back it.
Exactly. And again, to even further that idea of complete it first, if you completed the first whole arc, the first storyline, you know, something like that, if you did that and then you could back to back release and stuff, you're just going to be fueling the fire in so many words.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Better build up if you can deliver. If you can deliver before asking for money. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I know, like the Rags team, they decided to not go the Indiegogo route. They were pretty much funding it out of their own pocket while building up the Patreon, and guarantee, like after the first issue dropped, they saw a considerable increase on their on the Patreon side. And let me take a look at. No, I probably shouldn't. I'm not going to reveal what the Patreon's sitting at right now. It's probably not for me to say online, but yeah. I mean, the Patreon. I do have patrons on the Patreon right now. I guess you could say those are the early adopters.
Yeah.
But this is something that I can see, like the more content that's put out, the more that people can see, the more that they're likely to at least show up, at least those early adopters. The real money is not going to roll in until we have the first issue out. That I've definitely made peace with.
We're gonna have you on my show for when the first issue is about to come out.
You know, I would be down for that. In fact, like if it's gonna be if it had to be on a Saturday or Sunday, you know what? I'll just fucking call out that day.
We'll figure it out. I've got some stability now in the job market, so that makes it easier to plan ahead.
Yeah, you know, yeah, and like I've got my job has a thing where like we sort of have PTO that we accrue, and yeah, that can help make up the hours if I gotta skip a day. So I'm nothing to really worry about. So, but yeah, once the thing is finished, yeah, I'd love to get on your show.
And introduce you to all the kids playing Deltarune now. I see them every video I do now. It's like all these kids with Deltarune profile pics. It's adorable.
Well, you know what? I think Changeling would fly well with that crowd.
Yeah, kind of the sort of, I don't know, like creepy cool fantasy myth aspect. There's some of that in Deltarune, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just like, oh fuck, Maeve's a gamer. That I'll immediately like her. Like her interests, they revolve around kitties, sweets, indie rock, My Little Pony knockoff called Ultra Unicorns that she's been a fan of since she was little. You can actually see the poster, and I will show you. Let me bring up the poster. I mean, not the fucking poster. I mean, like the cover for the first issue.
How did this character come to you? Did you kind of like, have you been sort of like chewing over the characters for years and years, or did some of them kind of just like, oh, pop, they're in my head?
A little bit of, Maeve was it's kind of a little of both, to be honest. Oh, hold up, but yeah, you can. Whoops, that was wrong. Okay, let me see. There we go. Like, see it right there?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of what I came up. Yeah, that was kind of an idea that, because I'm a big. I'll get into that later. But yeah, I came up with a concept. Ginger was responsible for giving it the name. Ginger really likes My Little Pony. It's kind of something she had. But yeah, as far as where Maeve came from, there was an old an idea for a comic I had. It was a much different story. There was a character that was similar to Maeve. The character was not the same. They had the same name, but it's an idea I may or may not revisit in the future. But the character sort of stayed in with me. And I had this image of this banshee girl in my head. When I made that character, and so I just decided, you know what? Why not? I like this character. Why don't I just repurpose it? And so I made up a sketch myself, and then I pitched it on Twitter, and it was actually responding well with people.
Yeah. I think I came up with like some superheroes when I was about, I don't know, like 12 or 13 years old. And I had my drawings of those characters forever. And then I pulled out the drawings and I just like, I reworked them for a non-superhero thing, more for a sci-fi thing. It's always funny how, you know, like there'll be something consistent across the characters, but something will just never be the same again after you get the new idea.
Pretty much. Yeah, the thing I'm kind of surprised with Maeve is that, like, when I mentioned that she was raised Christian, like, people kind of responded to that pretty well. Like they just found that an interesting character trait for her. Because then that's sort of like yeah, I would say like the big conflict for Maeve is that she has to figure out how her Fey heritage and her Christian upbringing can sort of coexist.
Right.
It's because those two things, they are going to be sort of at odds with each other.
So what are ways that occurs? Like how does she come to have this conflict? Is it in her family? Is it kind of in her school life, or like the fantastical world intruding on her normal life?
It's kind of like all those things. Like they're definitely, I would say, like the best way I can put it is there is a continuity. There's an overarching plot in the background, but each issue is more or less going to be a self-contained story. Like it's a monster of the week plot. Because I realized that with where I was at, I was not going to be able to do monthly. I could not do like a serialized story like with what Rags does.
Yeah.
So I remember watching a Professor Geek video where he said like these comics, you should be able to get the full impact of the story just reading on the first try. You should not have to wait like 6 months for the next part of the story to come out. So I decided, you know what, just make it more episodic, but you know, have a continuity. Just sort of kind of go down the middle.
Yeah.
So like there are like if something happens in one, each story self-contained, but if something happens, there'll be consequences that can carry over into another issue.
Yeah. It's that
knowledge.
It's the combination of a serialized story and individual episodic stories. I think a lot of the great TV shows have that you can enjoy. Yeah, Babylon 5 is the one I'm thinking of, but you can enjoy an episode just out of order, and you can really enjoy it when the whole thing comes out as a season box set.
Exactly. Yeah, and I guess also Supernatural did that too.
Where's the kitty? Let me save it. It's sad.
That sounds like
he likes to caterwaul. Yeah, I might have to go grab my Scooby-Doo mask if I show you the cat.
Although, you know, I have to wonder, like, how does your cat stand around being a guy who's a fan of Marmaduke?
Well, it's all cartoon Great Danes. All cartoon Great Danes are beautiful. Hold on a second.
Does that include
Marmaduke? Listen.
Yeah.
Marmaduke, listen. I don't care if you need to put on a mask. I just want to see your cat.
All right, let me go get the cat. Cover for me.
Okay, well, Dylan,
words, letters, sounds.
If you're going to be fair, you got to show Pepper.
All right.
Cuddles.
Pepper.
His name is Cuddles. Her name, I don't know.
Should call him Pepper, Dylan.
1 second. 1 second.
We're gonna.
Wow. I haven't really thought out the logistics of this.
All right.
Well, I can't see in this thing. I don't think this is a good idea. Hold on.
That way you can.
All right, I'm going the old school route. I'm just going to stand off the camera and show you the cat.
That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, cat wants to eat my headphones. Here we go. Yep. Standing aside.
Dylan, can you center on Marmaduke?
He wants to eat my cord so much. This is Cuddles. He appeared in my review of Fuku Kitten Tales. Say hi, Cuddles. You're a star. He's old. He's friendly. He's got a little rag doll in him.
What kind of? Oh, he's a cute kitty.
I think he's just an American short hair. He's probably his mom was what do you call him? Like had that tortoise shell pattern, calico. His mom was a calico.
Where's Pepper, Dylan? Dylan, you better not be AFK. I hope he's not AFK.
So Rags is kind of giving you the model for wanting to grow your Patreon.
I'm more or less stealing like everything out of Brian and Trent's playbook.
Okay. And will Wicked publish Changeling when it's finished?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what they are going to handle. They handle all the printing.
Dope.
Yep. So, I'm hoping to have it. There you are, Dylan. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that. Not hoping when it's ready to go. I'm going to have it available both digital and print.
Okay.
Did you get Pepper?
I got her. Oh, that's a good-looking kitty. Look at that kitty, everybody. Oh,
he's bored.
Right. Now show Pepper.
Okay. Mind. I got a haircut, so don't judge me too bad.
What, are you shaved completely?
No. And for some reason, it's not detecting my camera for some reason.
When you've talked about how your characters have this sort of tension between Christian upbringing and their Fey heritage, I mean, that clicks with me. While people are talking about shared universes, you and I might have to do some behind the scenes talk about shared universes. Hey there,
Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper. Though. It's not too bad.
Look at it.
She's standing on her 2 feet.
You said she's not a purebred pug, right?
Yeah, she is Boston Terrier and pug. Mostly pug. Like she shows more pug.
So she's
her face isn't as scrunched.
Yeah, so she's not going to be as unhealthy as a.
No, she's 3 and she already has way better hips than she should otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I pulled you away from the smells of dinner and things that are human food that you can't eat. I'm sorry. But
all right, but yeah, there's a with a shared universe, and it does kind of still play in with like Althea and Adobe, like both of the, because like Adobe, she was part of an order of paladins, so there's a lot of Christian trappings there.
Yeah,
I'm kind of not real. I think I based on my interpretation of the audiobook, although I would recommend going to Dan for the definitive take. This is just how I got it.
Okay.
Adobe believes in God. She knows God exists, but the two of them are not on speaking terms.
Huh.
And
all right, now wait. Did Molly Bean work on Adobe at all?
Dan, Molly Beans is made by Dan.
Gotcha.
Yep. So yeah.
All right. So he plays the character Molly Bean. I've always thought of Molly Bean as a person. Like the person is Molly Bean.
Molly Beans is the character. Molly Beans is the character of his webcomic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, he describes Molly as a more human version of Howard Rourke.
Okay.
So yeah, which is funny. But I do like the Molly Bean strip though. It's really good. It's like it's sort of like a bit of a, it's kind of his take on like the Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes stuff, that newspaper strips that had like profound moments and stuff, but with a little bit more slice of life humor.
Exactly.
Plays a lot with like his background as a programmer though, because like that's what Molly's background is. She's a software engineer, and she's a college dropout that went to get real world experience.
Okay.
Yeah, bring it back. Like I said, like Adobe, she doesn't have a speaking relationship with God. Even she knows he exists though. Althea, also Christian, but she's a little bit more, I guess, due to how her life has turned out, she's a bit more cynical about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, well, Maeve is still just a kid. She's still everything is still kind of new to her, so she has a bit more, I guess you could say a bit more naive perspective on it. Like she has this perspective she grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
But then now, because she just found out, oh my God, I'm part Fae, that's kind of thrown her whole worldview into question. And a lot of that is kind of pulled from my own experience growing up in the church, because my dad's a pastor.
Yeah.
And I want to make one thing clear, even though part of myself as is part of Maeve, I'm not a hack. I'm not using her as an avatar for my own personal beliefs. She is, what Maeve thinks is not necessarily how I think.
Right.
There's going to inevitably be some similarities or some outright copies.
Well, you can't. It's impossible for an author to completely remove themselves from their characters, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like there are inevitable similarities. You can't really change that one.
Yeah, how much the hobbits are basically basically what Tolkien thought of what life should be like. Aragorn is probably is culled from his time being a soldier. Like the difference is they're not. The difference between what they do, between what Tolkien does and what I'm trying to do, and what your average Marvel writer does these days, is I don't use my characters as avatars.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then that reduces them to just a way of you parroting your views. Because when you make your character yourself, the tendency is to only show the best parts of yourself, not like delve into what makes you tick. That's why I like giving a character one personality trait and then maybe exaggerate, forces you to it kind of forces you to think about them as someone other than yourself, even if they have one thing in common with you.
Exactly. About the only person I can think of who's done this whole self-insert thing correctly is Brian Hill with the Killmonger series, because like I don't know if you saw the Diversity in Comics video on it, but he got to the back of it and he read Brian Hill's letter where he said like part of what went into this book was my own experiences growing up, like feeling angry about my race and growing up poor and how I always felt like an outsider. And Brian Hill acknowledged that those things did not make him a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what Brian Hill is doing with Killmonger is he's sort of showing the kind of person he could have become had he not taken a look at himself and done some soul searching and taken steps to maybe not, if not overcome his flaws, at least find ways to manage them.
I like that. And, because that's looking at your youthful experiences for fodder. It's not looking at your youthful experiences to define what everyone should think everywhere about race.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm kind of more or less doing something similar. Like I said, Maeve comes from part of Maeve's experience growing up in the church is based on my own, although like there are differences. Her parents are not members of the clergy. Her parents are more normal. But there's also bits that ended up from my brother and my best friend.
Yeah.
With my brother, when he was very young, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome.
Huh.
And while he has more or less grown up, more adjusted to it, like my brother's very social. He can handle being around people. About the only problems he really has is like things that might be obvious to you or me, they would fly over his head. He doesn't always get things like that seem like he should get them, and sometimes he doesn't always get jokes. He has a pretty good sense of humor, though.
Yeah.
It's just, but there was one conversation I had with him when he was taught where it kind of came out of an argument he and I were having, and and I sort of brought up, is this another Asperger's thing? And his response was, maybe it is, but I wish I didn't have this. I'd like to be normal.
Yeah.
And where that plays into Maeve is that when Maeve was young, she was diagnosed with autism.
Uh-huh.
Now, how I'm executing that is I am not going to be clear if she actually has it, or if it's a case where her face side and her human side just are not meshing well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
On top of that,
what were you gonna say, Dylan?
On top of that, autism is a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, someone with autism and stuff, it is, TV and stuff will show you a lot of stuff that with autism that is honestly still just a shallow showing of what it's like.
They like the extreme cases. They like the savants because that makes for like an interesting movie, or they like the children who are like pretty much incapable of functioning because that makes for a tearjerker episode. They don't tend to show
or there's that chick from Star Trek Discovery where like she just doesn't get social cues and like so that was how we got the first F-bomb in Star Trek ever, which made everyone cringe.
Right. And then it's such a wide spectrum that you could literally say she has autism, but good luck trying to figure out exactly her type of autism.
With Maeve, it's just that she's not good at interacting with people. She's not. It kind of plays into also the fact that she's a very shy character. Like a lot. Part of it's sort of she's she's kind of a product of her own nature and as well as her experiences. Because like when she, like another like one thing Dan brought up is like when you're a kid who's autistic, like you do come off weird to other kids, and they may not necessarily want to be around you.
Yeah.
So you're a kid that gets picked on, gets ostracized. So like it's her experiences coupled with how she was born. It's kind of shaped her into this. And believe I'm going to say this. Dylan is gonna like this.
Oh.
It's shaped her into this sort of Fluttershy type character.
Dude, I don't ponies. I only know what Shutterfly is because of my sister.
I said Fluttershy. Fluttershy is the really shy pony.
Yeah, I don't ponies. I only know what Shutterfly is in general because of my sister. Because she watches a
With
lot.
translation, your sister made you watch it and you liked it.
No, translation. I was forced to watch one episode because I babysat her, and that was an episode that had Shutterfly, and so that's why I know what that is.
Dude, you and I've been in a conversation with you where you said Pinkie Pie is perfect nightmare fuel.
Oh no, she is. Dude,
because of smile.mov.
I've seen the memes.
All right, so
I read the comic where she turned Rainbow Dash into cupcakes.
Good grief! Whenever like My Little Pony comes up, my pitch up for it is always watch the anti-communism episode because there are like two really good anti-communist cartoons in history, and their anti-communist episode is one of them. Right up there with that cool old 1950s one that gets shared a lot.
Oh my lord! I think it just might be me absorbing this through osmosis because of Ginger.
Possible. So,
but I'm like,
but I think like one of the best. I think it might not be the best, but like one of the best anti-communism slash admittedly war propaganda episodes of a cartoon would be when Donald Duck was a Nazi.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, that's classic.
But yeah, to get back to Changeling,
no.
But yeah, like Maeve's essentially got handicapped social skills. She's kind of grown up pretty friendless. She's been a misfit most of her life.
Please stop talking about me.
Is that making you cry?
No. Just sad.
It is making you cry.
No, just sad.
Well, I'm pretty much the only and so like her pretty much only comfort is like hanging around cats at an animal shelter and watching what is a My Little Pony knockoff. And yeah, that comes from, and the thing is like there's a panel I have in like the first issue, not much of a spoiler, where like she kind of admits that the line goes, I would give anything to be like the other kids around me.
Yeah.
Like, because when you live with a disability, and I am saying this as someone, not because I have it, but because this is what my brother said, like people who have disabilities, in my experience, they honestly would give anything to be normal. They would rather not have it.
Which is a very human emotion. One of the things about these like contemporary mainstream comics is they put in like, oh, it's a kid in a wheelchair, right? But it has absolutely no narrative impact or significance whatsoever. It's
like that one guy from Extreme Ghostbusters.
I don't know that one.
Extreme Ghostbusters. That was like a reboot of the cartoon, and it had like one of the kids, like it was supposed to be all hip and edgy, and it got rid of the main cast, and I think like the only one who came back was Venkman. And like one of the characters, he was this wheelchair-bound kid.
Yeah,
like that's helpful for fighting ghosts.
And if you're gonna have that, there ought to be significance to that. I'm trying to think of a better example. Okay, so like the Magic School Bus had like a kid in a wheelchair. It was like Ralphie's little brother. But then they also had him be like obsessed with engineering. So it made sense. It was like he could like build cool stuff for his wheelchair, you know?
Yeah, he had at least a reason to want to. Maybe not necessarily the ability, but he had a reason to want to learn that stuff, which then gave them the excuse to let him do that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Or at least or Professor X, like, well, in his case he was crippled but he has other things about him. Like he has.
Yeah. I like the 1610 Professor X the most because he has actual and factually documented telekinesis.
Yeah.
So he's actually able to move shit with his mind. And that was and you might recall this, Brett, but like I asked that question in like both of your server or in both your or in your server, the changing server, it's kind of a memey question because I know that the vast majority of Professor X versions, because different universes, again 1610 Earth versus the usual 616. But I know that the vast majority of Professor X's at least don't have it documented that they are outside of telepaths also have telekinesis. But the 1610 one does and stuff. And like, so my question so the actual question I've always had is, as far as 1610, it's because he's been able to lift things like his wheelchair off the ground. He's been able to, the Sentinels, the gigantic fucking machines.
Yeah.
He can lift those and throw them around. Why the fuck doesn't he just walk? Why doesn't he move his legs with his mind?
So as I understand it, their explanation has been, they actually touched on this in the movie. Their explanation is that Professor X,
not the movie.
But they took inspiration from a comic. So the idea was he at some point, I don't remember where it was. It was one of the X-Men Essentials books that are, black and white and, on cheap paper. But at some point he gets a new body that theoretically can walk. His legs are fine. But his problem is he's been using his psychic powers essentially to like suppress pain in his legs. And this has led him to kind of habitually suppress feeling in his legs. So even if they can walk, then his psychic powers are effectively prevent. So being a mutant is literally keeping him from walking, which they just kind of like borrowed that idea for, I think it was, which one was it? X-Men Days of Future Past. They had that scene of him walking because he takes a drug to suppress his psychic powers. They came up with some variation of that where the use of his power makes it impossible for him to use his legs.
Yeah. And that's accurate, but at the same time, I'm also like, the thing is there are all these little subtle changes. I forget because there's just so many comics out there in general, so I unfortunately don't remember. But fucking if the origins as far as like exactly what happened to make them how they are always ever so slightly different.
Yeah.
That's how you can get Spider-Ham, for Christ's sake.
Right.
In the freaking weird animal version of the universe in the Spider-Man comics. Like, that's how you can get Spider-Ham. But so my question is like, because I don't remember exactly the situation that version of Xavier had for being paraplegic and not walking around and things. If it was different and he didn't, take a bullet or have his spine crushed or something along those lines, like, what is his reason for being stuck in a wheelchair in 1610?
Yeah. Right, because even if there was some sort of like in-universe explanation, like the fridge logic explanation is, well, he could just pick himself up and move his legs externally, like the same way he'd move an external object. I get you.
Yeah, like even if he is suppressing feeling in his legs, okay, then that turns him into someone who, as far as their legs are concerned, does not have a spatial sense.
Right.
They can only really do stuff as long as they are watching themselves do it. So that would be really inconvenient. So I can understand that reason for not moving his legs. So there are definitely ways that I can justify him not using his legs. It's just on the other side of things, if those don't exist, what is his reason?
Well, to be fair, like also Professor X kind of stays out of out of the action most of the time.
Oh yeah, no, he's a teacher. He's a teacher and a principal and the world's strongest telepath, like fucking Logan and stuff. If his brain goes poop, a large amount of people could also just fucking die.
he's got the ability. Yeah, he's got the ability to manipulate people's minds and
bodies. Like,
it's like, let me put it this way: like the only thing worse is like this is from a Warhammer 40K parody series called "If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device," and because the Emperor's body's decaying along with his soul, like he kind of has no control over his psychic abilities, so he can randomly shit out warp storms if he's in a bad mood, so to speak.
No, yeah, like, and he literally just has like thousands of people say like, okay, you're this batch of sacrifices to keep me alive today.
Yeah, like 1,000 psychers that have to be sacrificed daily to keep him alive.
Yeah, but
God knows how the Imperium.
Actually, Marmaduke, yeah, that whole thing where if he transitions bodies and things, he still stays in a wheelchair. That literally happened in the first run of movies too. Like
movies
where
too? Oh yeah.
The movies, because Phoenix, Jean Grey as Phoenix, fucking atomizes him, and earlier in the movie they talk about how there's this guy in a hospital who's been comatose and essentially has no brain functions, but is still alive due to medical technology. So if he just had a working brain, he'd be fine.
Yeah,
and Xavier just fucking takes that dude's body over because his consciousness works. Therefore, this person's not working brain would then work because his consciousness would make it work.
Yeah.
And then there you go, new Xavier in a body that maybe needs physical therapy because it's literally been bedridden since birth. So it would probably need physical therapy to get working legs, but should, at least in theory, have the ability to walk. Does not.
Mm-hmm. No, I think they erased. Didn't they erase what happened in the third movie because nobody liked it?
Yeah, they erased it. But I'm saying, like, as far as the actual things are concerned, yes, that exact thing of bodies being a body stature did happen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, like the whole living with a disability thing, and like how when you live with a disability, you do want to be normal. You'd want to be accepted by your peers, especially when you're young. That's pulled from my brother's experiences. And that's in Maeve as well. And also kind of learning, like that's part of her, but also part of what's part of her character arc is that she sort of has to learn to accept it as well and just learn to adjust to it. Where my best friend comes in is my best friend is biracial. She is half white and a mixture of white and Amish and First Nation Canadian. And because of that, she's told me like she grew up feeling like she was an outsider, or like she never really fit in. And now Maeve's in my universe, in the Mythoverse, changelings are like half human, half fae. So Maeve is kind of like in between these two worlds, and she's not really sure if she fits in either of them.
Mm-hmm. That's the emotional connection. Because I mean, you could play fridge logic all day and say, "Oh, well, if these characters have these powers, why don't they do this?" But them having emotional resonance is why we get invested with them, is we see the connection to real life.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I know, and like that it's kind of. I'm kind of amazed like how well this character has clicked with people because I did not, I never really expected to take off like it did. Like, apparently people click with a shy, introverted banshee girl that has really bad social skills.
Right.
Like,
because comics is a nerd's medium still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and comics fans still feel like are still kind of outsiders, are a little bit quirky, a little bit eccentric. Yeah, I guess that's not a surprise. But I guess the most surprising thing about it was like this is something that both Matt and our friend Tank have joked about, is that I kind of went out of my way to design Maeve not to be like an internet waifu.
Yeah.
And the irony is that even though I did everything in my power to avoid that, she kind of is one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like a lot of what people are sort of seem to be attracted to is the fact that they can tell she's innocent. Like, I mean, when I was sort of pitching Changeling initially, like I don't think like anyone else was sort of doing a book that was like Changeling, one that was aimed at a younger audience. Like you had Rags, you had Blue Mamba, you had Juan Poole, yeah. Off the top of my head, what else did you have? You got Graveyard Shift, you got Jawbreakers, Iron Sights. Like those are books that are aimed at an older crowd. Did not have one that was explicitly aimed at like a young adult audience. And then of course Charger came out. So it's not the only one.
But you know, the thing about young people is they can have lots of interests. So I'm
not sure about it, is what I'm saying. But it's like at the time, like Maeve probably Changeling really stood out just because of who it was aimed at. I've definitely gotten a lot of props for saying that it doesn't look like any of the other books in our corner of the indie sphere. Like, no one's really gone for this explicitly anime manga feel.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
which I think is definitely like I don't think it can be said enough how much aesthetics matter. And Marmaduke has to step aside for a minute, but we can still talk. I think you and I can keep this conversation going, Dylan. I don't think it can be stated enough just how much aesthetics matter in a comic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, aesthetics really, like, you would agree, like, aesthetics give a book its identity.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like, there's, like, what's, like, the most generic comic book art you could think of, man?
The most generic?
Yeah. Like something doesn't look bad, but it's got no personality. It looks like it could be any comic.
See, that's the weird. So a lot of online comics kind of suffer from that. I really like the dude a lot, but a good example is a guy called The Odd Ones Out. He uses kind of like a bubble. There are no fingers. He kind of uses like a bubbly round shapes for his art. And it's really, really good. And he's got really funny comics and he makes animations on YouTube. He's a really cool dude. If there's anyone who listens to this who is not subscribed for whatever reason, look him up. It's all one word. The Odd Ones Out. He's really, really good. I love it. I'm a really big fan of him just in general and stuff. But the kind of, I guess, issue is that, yeah, he kind of, his art style is, at least in theory, very easy to replicate because it's, again, a lot of round shapes, big eyes.
Does it look like a Cal Arts piece?
Bit more of like a doodle kind of style, I think.
Yeah, it's a little. Again, he is a comic artist who also does animations. He has a very he has gotten his style down. You know what I mean?
But
I would not call it Cal Arts. That's just rude.
I'm just saying, but like what Dylan and I were talking about, like how important aesthetics are to a comic. And I just asked Dylan if he could think of the most generic comic art possible. Like that looks like you can't say it's bad, but it lacks personality.
I'd say maybe Adobe Illustrator art, where you just kind of like make it human deviation from perfection.
I think I can remember there was this one issue of X-23 where the art just looked like something like I've heard described as like WikiHow art.
Yeah.
Like there's no life in that art. There's no personality. It has no identity. And something I am impressed about with all the books in our corner of the indie sphere is these are books that the concepts aren't just unique. Like the art also helps sell it and gives it a sense of identity. Like no two books that I've seen people like no two books that's Rags, Little Girl Lethal, Spork Man, Wanpool. None of them look alike. They all look different. And I even had a friend Lenia on Twitter. She's known as Lost Leonor. She told me that if my style did not have this sort of anime manga feel, like it would feel a lot darker and more depressing. Because the tone I sort of aimed for with Changeling is a bit of comedy and drama. Like it aims down it goes right down the middle. It's not trying to something that can have like dark moments, but can still be lighthearted.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. Yeah,
which helps gives relief. Like, like I like sad stories, but they can become like sad sack stories where it's all just dreary drudgery. Like Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy which is mostly funny, like right until the end. Then everything falls apart. But most of Romeo and Juliet is like this sort of romantic comedy love story until everyone dies.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I think about them. I would definitely say, like, if you go into, like, say, Titus Andronicus, where it's just like, oh my king, like, you can't even really get that sad at it just because it goes way too over the top. Like,
yeah,
dude kills guys and then bakes them into a pie and serves them to their mother. It's like, how serious can you take? Like, how serious can you take that?
William grim dark fantasy fan fiction by William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare doing 40K before 40K did it. Yeah, it's like you. I mean, like we love I get it. We all love Shakespeare, but like, just like there's like certain like some of his stories they were very out there. I mean, then you got like Midsummer Night's Dream, which is just it's a pure comedy.
Yep.
But yeah, like with Changeling, like I said, like it's sort of like it has like a tone that's similar to stuff like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or, well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer minus the weed and speak and pop culture snark.
Yeah, that's an infection. That's like I've seen that in about 20 movies now, and I need a break from it.
Yeah, but yeah, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Bleach or Fooly Cooly stuff that like. Actually, this is something I do want to get into, like something I really want to use a lot out in Changeling. Like is metafiction. I like metafiction because I find it's a good way. It's a good way to enrich the world when you give it its own pop culture. Because then you can sort of make pop culture references, but without being too on the nose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also a way of like maybe communicating ideas related to the story in a very compact manner. Like you can do you can foreshadow things, you can like reflect, you can do things on the themes, or you can even show how those are like how the character takes lessons from that. And so that's kind of like a thing like I want to do with like the Ultra Unicorns thing is it's going to be because like I said, Maeve's been a fan of this show since she was a little girl.
Right. And the thing is, like most people who reference My Little Pony, it's like, oh, they're adorable ponies, and Plastic Man, he's a grown man, he likes My Little Pony. Like Gail Simone just had My Little Pony in it. When you describe it, you actually know who Fluttershy is, and you know her relevance to the character. So therefore, if you're familiar with the characters, then you can also start to infer like some of the personality connections, right? So that means you're actually thinking about her, not just that haha, My Little Pony, that's a thing that exists. Isn't it funny that I acknowledge the existence of this thing?
Yeah. Well, not just that. I mean, like you have, like I said, that's the whole thing behind the Ultra Unicorns thing. It's just I mean, yeah, it doesn't take a genius to see that it's supposed to be a My Little Pony knockoff, but here's the thing. It's not, I'm not using it to take shots at bronies because everyone's done that. on that, and it's not funny anymore.
It's a little funny.
Say what?
It's a little funny.
Yeah, like I said, dude, bashing bronies just it's kind of gone out of style. I think
it really has. It super has, yeah.
Yeah, it's just they're not fun to make fun of anymore.
Right.
But
the novelty wore the man bites dog aspect of the story wore off.
Exactly.
Yeah. But very much, yes. But yeah, it's just I think like it's gonna connect. It connects with audiences more because you can see this isn't coming from a place of mockery. This is something that's important to the character, and plus, like, it makes more. It's people are probably a lot more forgiving because it's a teenage girl who's into it. I'm probably gonna go out of my way to avoid making brony jokes just because, like I said, it's not funny anymore. Because there was like a whole episode of Bob's Burgers where that was the whole joke. I skipped that episode. What happened is that the Tina wanted to go to what was supposed to be. I say it's a My Little Pony convention, but I mean like it was a knockoff for the show's purpose. But you knew what it was supposed to be. And she gets to the convention and she finds like a bunch of middle-aged guys there. It's like I can sit and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know where this is going. I'm done with this. It's like, yeah. It's not mocking it. It's a bit more. It's a bit more. It's more genuine. It's more sincere. Here, it's not. Here, and like I said, it makes more sense for. I'm not gonna like Maven's not gonna be running to like middle-aged guys who are into ultra unicorns or anything. I'm not going there. Although I do have like a comedy arc planned where it's supposed to be Maeve and her friends and Regina. They're supposed to be going up to an anime convention up in Seattle, but because it's Regina, she fucked up, and instead of getting passes for an anime con, it was passes for a furry convention. And they're non-refundable, and she already booked a hotel room, and she's like, I paid for this. We're gonna ride this out, but we're just gonna stay in the hotel room the whole weekend. But where things go super wacky is it becomes Shaun of the Dead with furries.
Mm-hmm.
You laughed at that, Dylan. You thought that idea is hilarious.
I laughed at it. And then you talked about it again.
I want to see it.
I didn't laugh.
It's just like it's gonna be one of the changes. Gonna be one of those books where I found out I could do these little arcs that are a bit more silly and off the wall.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your marketing thinking. Like, how do you touch base with the kinds of young people you're looking to sell to eventually?
Well, like I said, the majority of the marketing's been done through Twitter. I've been expanding to DeviantArt. That one's sort of that's kind of growing a little bit slower, but like I said, the fan I talked with said that if you really want to get the people in, you have to have a finished product. But I did talk with another fan. What she suggested was having out a dedicated site. I can tell that that Dan has been working on a website for the Mythoverse where we can put like stuff like character bios and stuff to keep people up to date, where there's a dedicated site for that. She's also suggested like doing little video things on my YouTube channel, which I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. I might take some ideas from the column people. They actually had a really good thing with having these little vignettes where it was done by voice actors.
Yeah.
I mean, not an idea I'm closed off to, but the only problem is like I feel like if I go that route it might work, but I also feel like it it's me spending money that could also be spent on the book. So it's like the heavy lifting is being done through Twitter. I definitely got a lot of stride made, I think, when I started reaching out to the art community, and they've been very open to it.
Yeah.
Into it. But yeah, it's just at this moment, yeah, it's sort of me just sort of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Which is I think that's got to be a part of any writing process. I mean, there's a planning part where you try to make sure, like, if the monster's in the room in this scene, then the monster's got to be in the room in the next scene. But there's also just, it has to come just out from a place of, what if this happened? You know? What if fairies, you know?
Oh, definitely. But yeah.
Oh, have you ever heard of Fairy Cube?
No. I don't think I have.
It's really weird. The reason I think you'd like it is it has the fairies that are like the little tiny pixies with butterfly wings, but then they're actually kind of like primally terrifying, a little bit more like the ancient idea of the Fae. And it's also got like this really weird, hectic pace to it. Like we introduce the character, and then suddenly, like, the whole world turns upside down, and he's off to fairyland. I think you dig the what I think you dig about it especially is just the representation of the fair folk as something kind of terrifying, not just like Disney Tinkerbell type of character.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I do sort of plan. I've been calling a lot from the old Celtic folklore.
Yeah.
And the thing about Fae is, like, they are the best. If I can sum up what the Fae are in like one word, it's capricious. Like,
yeah,
they can be your best friend one second and your worst enemy the next.
Yeah.
They do a lot. They operate on their own kind of logic that doesn't make sense to us.
It's chaotic, and that's what makes them adventurous. Chaos could bring about it could bring about a lot of great opportunity as well as danger.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, also getting into deals with them, very treacherous, because they will find a loophole. They are very good at it. Like, they will find ways to keep to the letter of the deal without obeying the spirit. But yeah, you're gonna have to link me that. I have to check that out.
Sorry, I had to plug in my computer before it died, and I disappeared from the stream.
Yeah,
I was gone for a second.
Yeah, Fairy Q. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, you gotta link me up with that, because I gotta check that out.
Will do. I'll link you guys to my review of the first one, so you can get a little preview of it.
Ooh, I am hooked. Yeah. But yeah, I do expect that once the first issue comes out, that's when we'll really start seeing the money roll in and the fans roll in. Like, I know how that sounds. Like, it sounds like I'm prioritizing the money over it, but like, I'm doing the. I'm not doing this for the cash. I don't expect to make money off this. Like this. I don't expect to make a ton of money off this. It's just more what I want to do this because I have a story I want to tell, and people seem to like it. And most importantly, well, I wouldn't say most importantly, a big thing that was a big factor in me pursuing this was when I got sort of Brian and Trent's endorsement of it, and that was more or less when our friendship had kind of cemented.
Yeah.
I did at that time, and I did sit down, look, and think, and say to myself, you know what? Now that they've put their support behind me, if I don't see this through, I'm essentially betraying them, and I can't do that.
Well, I think you've got the right attitude. You've got to. You just. It's got to be. That's kind of the being point.
Yeah. I'm doing this because I have a story I want to tell. I have people like it, and my friends believed in me enough to put their names on it. And And I owe it to them. I owe it to myself. I owe it to my fans, and I owe it to Brian and Trent to see it through.
Well, you'll have a spot on my channel to introduce your work to some people because I'm interested to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, and like I said, when I've got the first issue done, yeah, we are making that happen. Yeah.
Are you playing any Easter eggs for people in comics Twitter or anything like what POTUS Stump would do?
I think if you looked at the cover, you can see a couple.
All right.
I'll pull it up.
I saw one.
Yeah. Yeah, one is a bit more obvious than the other. Can you have an idea what that cactus might be in reference to?
I don't know the cactus, no.
Cactus Coyote.
All right. From the Jack Irons universe.
Yep. Yeah.
What about the snake?
I think Ginger just added that in. I don't think it's an Easter egg for anything, but yeah. But yes, Nerd Wonder exists in Maeve's universe, and she's
Hello?
I think you just cut for a second.
I heard Nerd Wonder exists in Maeve's universe and she's, and then we lost it.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he's still. Ah, damn.
I
think he lost interwebs again.
Oh no. Well, I could let's see here. It's a nice picture to freeze on. All right, I think we lost him. Well, I'm really interested to see what happens with changelings, and I'm looking forward to Dylan, you're a supporter of changelings, but you're not involved in like the creation of it. Is that right?
Yeah, I am not at all involved in its creation or development or anything. I said I gave 3, I think 3. Hey, maybe you should do this because this sounds cool.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
Okay, so if you're just kind of like as a friend, you've kind of like had some back and forth on some things to happen with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back on my phone. I'm back on my phone. Sorry about that. My Windows 10 has this thing where it randomly freezes.
Don't worry, we had a chance to make fun of you and reveal all your trade secrets while you were away.
But yeah, before I lost my signal, did you at least get the part where I said Nerd Wonder is a stuffed animal Maeve owns?
I heard you say Nerd Wonder exists in Mavis's universe, and then it cut out immediately after that.
Yeah.
She's a stuffed animal Maeve owns.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, there we go. So yeah, I am going to sort of plant sort of Easter eggs in there, kind of. In fact, actually, if you but although I kind of like to sort of, I would say in contrast to Tim, I sort of like to incorporate the Easter eggs a little bit more organically. Like when Tim throws in an Easter egg, it's just there for its own sake, which isn't to take anything from him. But me, I sort of like to have them have a tangible reason to be there. Like I don't want them just there. They're let me put it this way. It's like, if you got Molly Beans in Maeve's universe, why is she there?
Yeah.
There. Or if Regina's in Maeve's universe, why is there a reason to be there? And by the way, there's a reason to keep up with Changeling, because at a certain point, Regina's going to be a supporting character in the book.
Right.
Yeah. And oh boy, my PC is really frozen. I can't even move the mouse at all. And oh boy, my fears I might have to do
Google Chrome open?
I do.
All right, that's probably it.
as crappy as that sounds, that's probably it.
Yeah, well, you can't
they can't obsessively learn everything there is to know about you, and let you have fast internet too. That's just too much to ask.
Too much power.
Yeah, but you can't do Google Hangouts with Firefox.
True.
Yeah,
Let's just ban specifically Google. We won't ban anyone else. We'll just specifically ban Google.
I am gonna have to do a hard reset. Yep. But yeah, we'll just keep my phone. We'll just use my phone. All right. But yeah, like I said, like if I do Easter eggs, I'm the guy who likes to give a more tangible reason for them to be there rather than just having them be there for their own sake. It's
right.
Like like I said, nothing knock Tim. Like what he does, it works.
I've always thought I would want to have like one 2-page spread where I put all my Easter eggs in together and say like, this is my, Easter egg hat tip page, and then have the rest of it just be like, have the rest of it be entirely its own thing. So I don't get into like some, continuity problems with anybody, but just like have my chance to say, hey, I appreciate you guys. Here's my nod.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like,
okay. So to that end, can I include a nod to changelings in my comic project?
Please do.
All right.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, I mean, like, there's any, I'm trying to figure out where the next logical step for this conversation is.
We could do it. We could take it to Twitter.
We could indeed.
Twitter DMs. Slide into my DMs. Figure out all the logistics.
Well, not that specifically. It's just more like not that specifically. Although yeah, I would do that, but
I don't think you can handle his DMs.
No, you can't. He's right. You cannot.
Well, as long as I don't get roboted off Twitter again.
I would hope not. I would hope not, but yeah. But yeah, that's yeah. If I can sum up Changeling is it's a book where it's an urban fantasy book that is part comedy, part drama. Deals with themes of being an outcast, growing up with a disability, growing up in a devout Christian household, trying to all set up all with a coming of age story. Oh, the setting. Yeah, the setting which was something I spent a lot of time thinking about, was that I wanted this to, like, the subtitle is an urban fairy tale, because that's kind of what I wanted to craft it in the style of.
Yeah.
And so the setting I knew the setting was going to be very important for that. And a lot of things with fairy tales is they always, like, I don't think you can ever point to a fairy tale that had like a very urban setting.
Yeah.
So to speak.
They were all that always kind of German forestry.
Yeah, or like in that English countryside, like it's always something that's a little bit more. It's in a place that's more isolated. It's away from civilization, surrounded by nature. And I knew I wanted it set in Washington, so I went looking through so I thought about all the places that I knew would fit, and the town in Washington that fit it best was Aberdeen.
Huh.
Aberdeen is a logging town, surrounded by forest. It's away from civilization. Like it's still got a small town vibe to it. And of course it's also the place where Kurt Cobain grew up.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But it's just when I took a look at it, it's just like I thought to myself, yeah, this is the perfect setting. This is where the book should take place. It hits all the right boxes.
I think there's wisdom to like. Have you ever lived there, or did you do like some research and decide this is like the right scenario to stage this?
It was more. It's more research. I've been trying to. I plan on taking a trip out to Aberdeen at some point so I can gather reference material for my artists.
Yeah. I made a decision similar to that. Like I was originally going to say, I'll set a story in Tokyo because it's all cool and Japanese and stuff. And I thought, wait a second, I've never been to Japan. I don't know a thing about Japan. So I just said, nah, I'm gonna write stories about, I don't have to go to every place to write a story about it, but I want to write about places where I at least kind of feel like I understand enough about it to represent it. Like I wouldn't know how to represent Tokyo fashionista whatever's, I'd have to do all my research would be just on like doing the background stuff. So you got to write what you know, I think.
I'm going to be
pretty much.
I have to go handle this thing real quick.
All right, Dylan. But yeah,
dog.
But yeah, you're right. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like even though I haven't been to Aberdeen yet, I do have enough familiarity of what at least my side of Washington is like, and it's like, and I can definitely tell you, like, Seattle is not what I would call the definitive Washington experience.
Yeah.
Like for me, the definitive experience is more like being out in Rainier National Park, right? Because like Washington is still a state that still has a lot of wilderness left over. It's not heavily urbanized. And I think a lot of that owes to the fact that it did start out as a logging state.
Yeah.
And of course, logging companies, they're not gonna harvest trees to the point that none can grow back. They've got this shit down to a science. So a lot of the nature, a lot of the natural beauty of Washington still been preserved. And just like it's kind of like this atmosphere that I sort of like about it. Just like I said, like the thing with Aberdeen is like it's away from metropoli like Seattle. It's surrounded by forests. It has an isolated feel, and it kind of has that. It's not too rural to be basically hit country, but it's not heavily urbanized. It's got the right balance. Like it's a setting where you can sort of tell a fairy tale story in a modern context. Because I think a big part of the fairy tale setting is you kind of have this small town vibe where like everyone knows each other.
Yep.
Each other. That's something I find really appealing about it. At its end. That kind of.
Go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Marvin?
I'm just thinking, like the urban fantasy has become its own whole subgenre, but you're touching into maybe a bit more of an ancient idea of storytelling, and so the balance is it's small enough that it reads as that kind of. There's a connection between the culture of like small town people and like the people of like the English countryside who'd tell stories about the leprechauns over there who are tricking people, or even in Japan, like. All the folklore, the spirit world is the world over there, right? Out in the mountain, you'll run into the nine-tailed fox spirit that'll trick you.
Yeah, and and there's also there are parts of Ireland where people won't venture near just because supposedly it's been touched by the fair folk.
Yeah.
There's still a little of the old superstition in certain parts of the British Isles. But yeah, there's and to an extent but yeah, I mean, like I kind of like that you pointed out that even though like urban fantasy has kind of become its own genre, which focuses on like a more urbanized setting that is more modern, we'll place the characters in we'll place like characters and fantasy elements in a more urbanized setting, like say Seattle or New York or like just big cities. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also been very done to death. That's whereas like I kind of went back and did something that's a bit more old school, and that was kind of my intent. Like I wanted to sort of go back to sort of those old things, and then like I think like this nostalgia has actually kind of been a big part of this book, if I'm being honest. Like, because I remember telling you in another stream where when I was sort of trying to, I kind of realized that to really tell this story honestly, I had to sort of place myself in a teenage mindset, and so I kind of went back to things that made an impact on me when I was Maeve's age. And I think it's like I do think it's going to be something that plays a big part in her character growth, in her character arc, because like it's essentially she has to grow up at some point. She can't be a kid forever. It's not like Bart, because like Bart Simpson's been like the same age for like over 30 years, man.
Right.
Probably even like Simpson's been around for like 30 years, and Bart's still a 10-year-old boy.
Right.
It's just. I think there's kind of. I was gonna say. I think there's a really good connection made when the audience is allowed to grow up alongside the character, and
yeah. You've talked about reaching out to artists and the artist community. Any plans to do like fan art challenges or have like a fan art section in the finished book?
Oh, but that's not something I'm not opposed to, and I would definitely say it's something I would definitely pursue more like after the first issue's out, and I've got a good feel for the fan reaction and see like how much people like it.
Yeah.
Like, and I've also been reaching out to people to do variant covers, and like another thing I actually want to do is like probably like in between volumes is something I want to call like an anthology special, where I can have like people who sign up at like my high tier on Patreon, they get the opportunity to submit their own entries, which would be like a 5 or 6 page short story and who knows, maybe it's a way a new creative team gets discovered.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing fan art challenges, and like, in fact, like a thing like my friend Matt Trin told me was that and it was sort of based on the reaction I had to like all the fan art I was getting, because I've sat down and counted, and it's got to be like something a little over 24 pieces.
Yeah.
For a book that's not even out yet. And Matt said, like, when you've got that much fan art, it kind of shows that you have a passionate fan base.
Yep.
And that's definitely a feeling that I was. That's not a feeling I was kind of prepared to have. Like, I never, like, if you had told me like 10 years ago that this shit would be happening to me, I never would have believed you.
So you've made clear you're not going to go to Indiegogo, at least for now. Like, maybe that's an option in the future, but you're looking at Patreon and you're looking at finishing the comic really before you start like recruiting people, because young people like to see a finished work. Do you have like an ETA on when the project will be done, or at least the first arc?
I want to have the first issue completed within the first half of 2019.
All right.
That's what I'm hoping for. But
right.
I'm holding off on making any definite statements just because I don't know how this is going to turn out, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've commented it on how I don't feel like I'm in control of the story. Well, I'm also not really in control of the production either. So, like, one way or another, I will say this: it is going to get done.
Yep.
That much I will be definite on. As to the path it takes to get to that point, I have no idea. I'm sort of figuring this out as I go.
All right. Well, I'll be keeping a close eye out for it to progress.
Yeah, thanks. And Dylan has been gone a lot longer than I thought, so we're... Because I'm not... Let me check to see how long we've been going.
About an hour and 3/4. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. I'm gonna have to wrap it up in about 15 minutes.
It might be a good idea. The only problem is Dylan's not here to kill the stream, and
we could just leave leave and spam his chat. Well, Dylan, what's the matter? Dogs poop all over your floor.
That would be funny. Yes, that would be. Yeah, that would. Yeah, at least. All right, so we'll.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just got distracted for a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What's the matter, Dylan? I'll type that in the chat. But yeah. If we ended here, it's just gonna be a lot of awkward sounds until Dylan shows back up.
Presidential alert! Amber alert issued for Dylan. Where is he?
Yes. Where is Dylan?
You should write a short story about Dylan disappearing, and maybe just having to go catch him.
Maybe he'd probably like that. He would love that. I know he would love that. Because it... Yeah. Alright. But yeah. You know what? We'll just call it good here and just leave it on.
Alright, we gotta make fun of Dylan in the chat, and then we'll go.
Alright, yeah. Yeah, okay, we'll make fun of Dylan in the chat, and then we'll call it good and and I guess just leave the awkward silence.
All right, I typed Dylan, you loser, and I spelled it with a Z to show how serious I am.
Yes.
Did you ever see Matt Langer make fun of me on my own channel when my internet went down?
I don't think I have.
Right, you know him as the artist of Dragoon Knight Aldrake, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay, so he was my very first live stream guest, and then my internet conked out for some mysterious reason, and so he just used the opportunity to make fun of me for 5 minutes. He was just roasting the heck out of me, and then I ended the stream because I wanted to give him a chance to finish.
Okay, yeah. How do I put this? I'm trying to think of things I can make fun of Dylan for.
Well, he talks in a baby voice to his dog a lot. I noticed that.
No, yes, that's right. Yes, Dylan, you talk to your dog you give your dog a baby voice, Dylan. Dylan, it's leaky. Oh, I love my pupper. Here. Yes, we know you love your pupper, Dylan. We know it. Oh, here's something I can make fun of Dylan for. He wrote that. He wrote that into his player character in our werewolf group, Trish, that Trish loves pugs, and in one session, I shit you not, he had Trish mug an old lady just so she could steal the dog. And what he planned on was that Trish was going to be building up an army of pugs and try to take over the world.
So what you're saying is he likes pugs entirely too much.
Oh yes, he does.
There's a small degree of affection a man's allowed to show a pug before we take his man card.
Yeah, at least let me put it this way. At least with Count Dankula, he decided that my girlfriend won't shut about how cute her dog is, so I'm gonna make it the least cute thing possible.
Oh, what if Dylan was the girlfriend the entire time and the internet didn't know?
Yes, Dylan is secretly Count Dankula's girlfriend.
I think he's gone. I just think he's gone.
He probably, or he's stuck for a lot longer than he wants to be. Yeah, but yeah, we'll probably we'll wrap it up on our end, and Dylan will have to deal with the awkward silence on his end.
Well, hey, it's been a blast being on, and I look forward to having you on to talk more about Changeling in the future.
I do. Thanks, man. I will hit you up. I will hit you up when the first issue's done.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And Dylan, if you can, on the off chance you can hear this, kill the feed. All right, I'm out. You guys get awkward silence until Dylan comes back.